Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Flat Earth Friday with me, Simon Dan. Before we begin today, I want to highlight an event that's coming up very soon. Fellow YouTuber and Globe Earth defender Red's Rhetoric has officially declared the 31st of December to be the first ever International Ballers Day. If you want to take part, all you got to do is dress up in your favourite piece of clothing associated with going to space. So NASA, JAXA, ESA, whatever you want. So on the 31st of December, dress up in that gear, take a photo of yourself and upload it to Red's Twitter, @RedsRhetoric. I'll leave a link to his Twitter in the description. Should be good. I'll certainly be taking part. Right, back to today's video. As I've become a larger channel, the requests to do videos on people have been numerous, but I've only ever been asked to do one book review, and that was by the author himself. So sit back and relax as I conduct my first ever Flat Earth book review. Okay, here we go. Geometry Measuring the Earth, a Pilot and Engineer's Handbook to Flat Earth Truth. This is written by a guy called J.P. St. Dennis. Now, he was all over my Facebook page trying to get me to review this for months. So I finally buckled and I said, okay, I'll have a look. And I said I'll give him my honest opinion. So here we go. I'm going to read a bit as we go. The resolution's not great, but I'll read bits and pieces as we go and look at the pictures he's got. And at the end, we'll come up with an opinion on it. So here we go. The Earth is flat. Now, that's a pretty contentious start, but we'll continue. I've been thinking about writing a Flat Earth book for a couple of years now. I wasn't sure how to approach such a hated and controversial topic. I started writing a book with a boring textbook-like feel to it, and I came across this poster that made it much more fun to dive into the topic. The poster may be copyrighted, but I'm not writing this book for monetization. I'm writing the book for non-profit educational purposes, which falls under fair use. Okay, so I can't really see what that poster is about. Resolution's very poor. Not sure. Let's move on. This is still his introduction here. Most people believe the Earth to be a spinning globe because that's what they've been told to believe since they were born. Yes, but also because it's blatantly obvious. Mass programming has led the whole world to believe in a new world order religion they call science, where the false prophets are none other than the likes of Albert Einstein, Isaac Newton, Charles Darwin, Georges Lemaitre, men that have led you down the left path of ignorance. Well, I'd rather take the word of these guys than Mark Sargent and Eric DeBay. Or J.P. St. Dennis. Most of you have it on faith that outer space is real and that we've landed on the moon, yet you have no proof for any of it except our overlord's word for it. Images can be manipulated and constitute no proof either. Until a flat earther comes up and says that every single picture taken from space is fake, until that happens, then you can't say that. A picture is more than enough evidence to show the Earth is real. There are literally millions of photos of the Earth from space. And until, like I said, until a flat earther can come up and prove that every single one of those is fake, then you've got nothing. This book looks to encourage anyone who dares question what they've been told to believe. They dare to question it, the flat earthers. And this book seeks to introduce the reader to the paradigm shifting reality that is flat earth. The paradigm shifting reality, or the total horseshite. That's the different kind of aspect of it. Okay, number one. Time-lapse photography and simple night sky observations. We're told to believe 1. The Earth's rotational speed is 1,000 miles per hour. Earth's revolution speed is 70,000 miles an hour. Sun's speed around the Milky Way is 450,000 miles an hour. Milky Way galaxy moving at an astounding 1.3 million miles an hour. Figure 2, I think it means figure 1.2, is a time-lapse photography showing how the stars in the night sky trace perfect circles or perfect arcs. The model we're presented with above in figure 1 is not compatible with our observations as recorded by the time-lapse photography. No, it is not compatible. There is a gross difference in scale. This picture at the top here, figure 1.1, is completely out of scale. There is absolutely no way you can take this and then say that we don't see the stars moving. Because number one, we do see the stars moving. This, to me, this time-lapse photography here of the star trails completely tells me that we are rotating. There's no other explanation for that. And the real problem is that, for them anyway, that there is motion of stars. There is proper motion. So we can see stars moving against the stars behind it. So the stars that are closer to us, we can see them moving over the course of a year, 2 years, against the stars behind it. Barnard's star is the fastest one of those. And over 6 months to a year, you can see it literally moving against the stars behind it. So there is proper motion, but not motion that we can detect with our eyes. I mean, this is the most we can detect, this sort of star trail thing with our cameras. But you go outside in the night sky and you can't detect anything. Werner von Braun was an aerospace engineer and the leading figure in the development of rocket technology in Nazi Germany. He was recruited by the US during Operation Paperclip. All through his life, von Braun had advocated for a human mission to Mars, yet he wished to imprint a testament to God's handiwork on his tombstone. The heathens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork. Psalms 19:1. In other words, the night sky is like a fingerprint, proof of a grand architect. Okay, I'm not happy with the fact that you're using a scientist's religious beliefs against him. You can't do that. Just because he has a religious conviction, it does not mean that the science he does is wrong. It's a very poor argument. Another point to make out is that the constellations haven't changed in millennia. Well, they have. A constellation is defined according to Wikipedia as a group of stars forming a recognisable pattern. None of the constellations or stars patterns have changed in the slightest, despite the rotation, revolution, orbital speeds. Well, they have changed. There's a 28,000 year cycle of the North Star. So the North Star changes in a 28,000 year cycle. So there's that. And then, like I said before, you've got the proper motion of stars. So that they're always moving. But it happens so slowly because the distances are so great. The distances we're talking about, so we go back to this photo here, the distances we're talking about in terms of our orbit are quite small, but when we're talking about the sun's speed around the Milky Way and the Milky Way's movement itself, these are massive distances that make it almost unrecognisable. So his point is completely disproven by the fact that there is movement going on all the time. It's just not detectable by eye. 2. Does water stick to a spinning ball? This old argument, does water stick to a spinning ball? They use it all the time. It's not new. Let's see what he's got. So centrifugal force is the apparent force equal and opposite to the centripetal force, drawing a rotational body away from the centre of rotation caused by the inertia of the body. The centripetal force is an actual force. In other words, when spinning an object on a string, the string exerts an inward centripetal force on the object, while the object exerts an apparent outward force on the string that results from the effect of inertia during a turn. Inertia is a property of matter by which an object continues in its state of rest or uniform motion in a straight line unless that state is changed by an external force. No problem so far. In other words, the rotating mass experiences an apparent centrifugal force pushing it away from the centre of its circular path, even though what it is actually experiencing is the inward centripetal force that keeps it from literally going off on a tangent. Thus, when spinning a wet tennis ball, water droplets will be ejected, going off on a tangent as it leaves the surface of a tennis ball. This, of course, begs the question as to why gravity doesn't allow for the water to stick to the spinning ball as it does for the spinning globe. Right, this is completely ridiculous. On a tennis ball, which is minute compared to the Earth, its gravitational pull is almost zero compared to the Earth. Yet when you spin it, the centrifugal force is going to be much larger. Therefore, the water will kind of spray off the ball. centrifugal force is larger than the gravitational force that tennis ball produces. But you've also got a giant planet underneath that ball, which has a larger gravitational force than the tennis ball. So, of course it's not going to stick to the ball. Of course it's not. But the globe, which is massive and exerts a greater gravitational force, then that has got the ability to hold water onto it, because the centrifugal force generated by the spinning globe is nothing compared to the gravitational pull, so water won't spin off. It's simple. It really is simple. And this is one of the worst arguments you can bring to the table, because it means you've got a gross misunderstanding of gravity and how forces work. And this bit at the end here, yet the hot air balloon rises, a butterfly will spread its wings and defy the all-powerful, magical, mighty force of gravity. Well, yeah, because a hot air balloon is producing a buoyant force, and that force, if it's strong enough to counteract the force of gravity, it will rise. A butterfly flaps its wings, it produces a force. That force, through air resistance, is going to be larger than the gravitational force, therefore it will fly. Oceans don't have that. Oceans don't have a force pushing it up, apart from a very minor centrifugal one. So, of course, things can defy gravity. Of course they can. They just need to have a larger force pushing them upwards. It's, again, a poor argument. And he's moving on again. So number 3, laws of buoyancy and density, the Archimedes Principle. So he's moving on to the same thing here. So he's literally describing buoyancy after saying buoyant objects can counteract gravity. He's literally shooting himself in the foot by going on to explain what buoyancy is after the last point he made. It's just nonsensical. Number 4, does the atmosphere rotate with the Earth? Yes, it does. There is a drag. The Earth drags the atmosphere around, and therefore the atmosphere has the same angular velocity, or pretty much the same angular velocity as the Earth does. Here we go. Figure 4.1 is what we actually observe, where the balloon floats in the same spot because the Earth does not rotate. If Earth were to rotate, figure 4.2 is what we would experience. No, because if the balloon was to stay in the same spot, it would be moving at the same velocity as the Earth, because it's in the atmosphere that moves at the same velocity of the Earth. That's not difficult. It's, again, a complete misunderstanding. He told me this book was supposed to convert me. Seriously? Nothing new. There's no new arguments. Number 5. Geometry, measurement of the shape of the Earth. The etymology of geometry is literally the measurement of the Earth. Simple geometry is all that is required to determine its shape. With the proper geometric instruments and mindset, one can extrapolate the shape of the Earth. Yes, you can, but you don't get the result that you think you do. A good example of this is the Bolivian salt flat, with more than 10,500 square kilometres of exceptional flatness, as Wikipedia puts it. Huffington Post describes it as an endless plain of blindingly bright salt. The Earth is massive. Of course it's going to look flat to us at sea level, at ground level. Even a 10,500 square kilometre section is going to look flat. The Earth is huge. It is a massive object. We are tiny. Why would we not see it as flat? But luckily enough, we have developed technology and science enough that we can now move away from our planet, and we can get higher up, and we can see that it's not flat. So, again, it's a poor point. Number 6, planes fly straight and level. This one, really? Really? We live in a 1984 Orwellian society where everything has lost its meaning by taking on multiple meanings, and where 2 + 2 = 5. Right. As ThoughtCo.com writes, you hear about parallel lines that by definition never meet each other, except they do in some warped reality dreamt up by Albert Einstein. The concept you have always known as a line has been renamed a line segment. let's move on to this bit here. So the main one, however, remains the attitude indicator, otherwise known as the artificial horizon. When your airplane is stable and flying straight and level, your attitude indicator will remain on its artificial horizon with no up or down pitching motion. How is this man a pilot and still think the Earth is flat? I can't understand it. Check out Wolfie. Wolfie's a pilot. He does some fantastic videos on this sort of stuff. There is no pilot I know of that will use this sort of evidence with the attitude indicator to show that the Earth is flat. You have got a bias that the Earth is flat, and you are taking that bias and applying it to things that you shouldn't apply it to. And he's got more rubbish diagrams to try and prove his point. Number 7, water seeks its own level. He's really going with this. I do not understand how water seeks its own level is such a strong argument for them. Seriously. What's he got? A physical property of any fluid at rest is that its surface is always level. This is why we use a spirit level to measure whether a construction is level and not tilted. The world's greatest rivers, such as the Nile, the Tigris, the Amazon, or the Mississippi, all find their way to ocean because that is where 96% of all the Earth's water is held, which covers 70% of the Earth's surface. Look at these rubbish diagrams. Look. That's supposed to say to me that the Earth is flat because he's got a profile of the Great Lakes. So what? Yes, it looks flat. Again, because we're small. Look at this. All rivers run to the sea. Look. On a globe, he's saying it's not possible because the rivers would have to go uphill. Seriously, this guy's an engineer and a pilot, but he's saying on a plane the rivers flow downhill, so that's why it's possible. Look here. Water is always level. Yes, in a container it's level. Yes. A small container, a swimming pool, it's going to be level. Water never curves like this. Of course it doesn't curve like that because we don't have a container like that, do we? And it's not going to be a small container. Ridiculous. Look at this. Observable, measurable, repeatable, on any reproducible at any scale. It's a cylinder with water in it. It's going to have a flat, level surface. What else do you expect? Plus, it's on Earth, so gravity comes into play. And then look, he's put this: a globe, not observable, not measurable, not reproducible at any scale. Well, it is observable from space. That's the first thing, and we can reproduce it, but we need to be out in the interstellar medium somewhere with a large enough planetary body and then chuck a load of water on it. But they know we can't do that. So they twist the words. They try and manipulate the meanings so that vulnerable people take their word for it. Number 8, round Earth curvature drop off. What's he got here? I think he's talking here about the 8 inches per mile squared. Yeah. Which is just, again, there's plenty of photographic evidence out there that proves this. Plenty. Just look up Ranty Flat Earth. He does it all the time. Red's rhetoric, his blink test, it says it all. It proves curvature. There's no doubt about it. And this argument is just an old, useless one. And his credentials, here we go. University of Bath, his US ID. So that's it. There we go. GP St Denis. What an absolute load of cobblers. It is a colossal waste of time, and I'm going to award this book 0.5 out of 5 stars, simply because you had a nice few pictures in there, and I quite like looking at those. That's it. Right, back to me. Well, there we have it. I actually really enjoyed that. Keep an eye on the community tab of the channel because I want to do more, and I'll be posting up a few polls with a few choices of books to review next time. Thank you very much for watching. I have been Simon Dan. If you liked that and enjoyed it and you want to pop a like on it, then please do subscribe as well. And I'll see you on Christmas Day for the Christmas special. See you then.